Hello everyone, this is CJNovo992 and today we're back for another brand new video, and it's that time already that me and thee sit and discuss some mere football, you know what I mean? It's been a bit of a journey the last week or two, or you could argue since the first pre-season game when load management was still echoing and etching in my mind. We've been through the ringer, but what lies ahead of us now is a possibility to win the first trophy that's available to win this season. But before we get lost in the hype and hysteria of potentially lifting one of these, there is a certain semi-final and a familiar foe upon the horizon. Now the eagle eyes in the current audience right now tuning in to the video will notice I didn't actually make a preview video discussing tomorrow's opposition Hearts last time we played them just over a week ago, because I feel like if we're going to be speaking about them in the semi-final, you know what I mean, that's the time you really get into the meat and tatties. We're going to be playing them, we'll see them with our own eyes, that will drastically change how the video will be, so I didn't want to sit and bore anyone and just repeat the exact same stuff. So today's video is going to be a little bit different than our regular format. Of course, we will look at tomorrow's dance partner again, Hearts. We will get into, we'll discuss how they're feeling, how they've been playing, etc, etc, but also mixing in the Rangers end, because again, we faced this side and it was a great result, but the performance was barking. So follow me on the journey of the semi-final we go. And before we do carry on, by the way, I just want to say a massive thank you. This is normally the part I ask you to either like or subscribe, but I just want to say this is the first time ever on my entire channel that for an entire month every video's hit over 1,000 likes. Now that might not seem like anything to use, but it's actually kind of one of those things that just makes me feel good, because I've seen 1,000 people like the video, I've seen 1,000 people enjoy the video, so for an entire month that's an incredible achievement, especially for a small channel like mine. So thank you all for your support, it's been greatly appreciated. And I'll be a wee bit cheap now and say, if you didn't mind continuing that tradition, that'd be absolutely sensational if you do find yourselves enjoying the content. But I'll get on with the song and dancing, and again we will have a look at Hearts. And it's been very interesting not only to look into Hearts last week before the game, but also to see the social media response, the managerial response, and the fans' response to that loss at Ibrox. And I almost feel like that game right there is a perfect representation of how their seasons went so far and how they've been gone for a little while. You know what I mean? They took the lead in the game, brilliant goal by Lauren Shanklin, an out-and-out goal scorer. That was the bright spark in the game, but what happened next was abandoning the principles that they've had installed over the last few years and what's brought them some success, and decided to park the bus and go backwards as a team and try to hang on for dear life for nearly 85 minutes. That isn't the Hearts have seen over the last couple of years and I've been impressed with, and it's certainly not the Hearts that I sat here and looked you in the eyes and said, outside of the old firm, that there is the best team in Scotland. They are drastically changing, and I think for the worse. Now, of course, they reach us in a semi-final, and cup games can go either way, and it's a great achievement reaching a semi-final. You might look at that, but the way and the standard that this team is playing, I cannot break it down any further than saying it seems to me like they're going backwards rather than what they were telling everyone they were going to do, and that's push to go forward, you know what I mean? Because we saw how they play, we now know how they go about their business, and we now know how Stephen Naismith tastes. I hope for some more this weekend. But they are in a sort of weird transitional state, and I'd argue they are going backwards. But where I do need to give them some credit is how they responded to that, because we know how we did. We went and had a phenomenal game versus Dundee. We well and truly finished that game at the tip of the top, but we're only halfway up in terms of where the Belgian wants us to be. We saw where we went and what happened to us after the game, and it was an interesting one to see how Hearts would respond. Again, having the points in their hands to the 90th minute, when a game in the old days would stop no matter what. They did have the points within our grasp. They did concede a last minute penalty, they still had a point on the table, and then that got ripped out of them. It was glorious from ours, but how would they respond to that? And it's got to be said they've responded with what I'd probably say is their best performance in a little while, as they absolutely dominated Livingston Football Club at Tynecastle. Now the scoreline will show you 1-0 to Hearts, with a goal coming around the 79th minute in the game. And if you're just searching through and you want to have a wee watch to see how they did, you might look at that and say, oh, it must have been a close game, they just nicked a last goal in the last 11 minutes of the game, they must not be playing well or responding. But we, as always, go a little bit deeper right here on the channel, and if you actually paid attention to that game, that was a demolition job. They battered Livingston to nearly a pulp. It was somehow, some way only finished 1-0. That was a pissed off, angry Hearts side that came out versus Livingston and limited them to just 0 shots on target and 3 shots overall in the match, whilst only having 22% of the ball. I mean, Hearts passed the ball 3 times more than them, and the passing accuracy that they limited Livingston to have, because every time Livingston got a touch, which wasn't very often, they just had to punt it away because Hearts were on them, Hearts were on them. I think Livingston finished with nearly 50% passing accuracy for a game of football. That is embarrassment from them, but also something you need to applaud Hearts for. So if you're wondering how Hearts responded to the limp into the next game, feel sorry for yourself. Have we got a mentality edge into them coming in to this one? I'd argue no, because this is a side that's coming in and certainly played their last game pissed off and angry about what happened to Ibrox. So for me, in my personal opinion, what I'm expecting to see from Hearts is the same way they started the game at Ibrox, and especially the way they started for Livingston, coming out fast, looking to prove a point. Their egos were hurt. You saw the managerial tears and the pressers. They are angry and they want some justice, and what more justice could they get than looking at a semi-final at the first available trophy to win this season. So that's all I really got to say about Hearts. We're not going to break in the league position or look at this. We've saw them with their own eyes. We know how they go about the business. For me, they're going backwards as a football club, but in terms of a semi-final, it is a one-off game, and they are coming in angry and looking to prove a point and prove that what happened at Ibrox shouldn't have happened. Again, they've pandered to the referee route. They've pandered that everyone's cost them. They've not realised that after starting the game fantastically, playing 2 banks of 5 for 85 minutes is probably not a way to go about their business. They've not quite caught on to that, troops, but they're coming in looking to prove a point, and we as a football team need to make sure we meet them right here, because again, semi-finals, anything can happen. Rangers start the game with some intensity and put Hearts away. And that does lead me naturally more to the Rangers side of today's video, because again, this is a huge game and equally important for us. I know how big it is for the Hearts team and wanting to respond and motivate to do this, and I know the buzzards are circling around Stephen Naismith, so he really needs a result versus us. But also on the flip side, this is Rangers Football Club. You know what I mean? I found myself sniggering and laughing at one of the presser's questions to Tavernier, saying, do you consider this a must-win, or is this a must-win? Of course it's a must-win game, mate. You know what I mean? Rangers, every game you play is a must-win game. I feel like I need to shake people to wake them up. Every game is a must-win game. Sorry, it doesn't matter if it's a semi-final or it's away to Dundee, it's Ross County, St Johnstone, Celtic. Every game when you're a Rangers player is a must-win. And if there is one man that is now beginning to echo at that and actually recognise that in the presser, so I'm not sitting here getting greyer and madder about some of the daft questions I'm needing to hear asked to Rangers players, it is that man Clement. And that's why I wanted to mention, and that's why I'm going on a little bit of a tangent, trips, because that's what's standing out to me, and that's something that I recognise right away from his first presser, or his announcement as a Rangers manager, I should say, then his press conferences. And I'm sure if you've watched even one of them, you'd have heard him talking about that winning mentality. He wants to win, eats, sleeps and breathes wins. It doesn't matter what game he plays or what competition or what opposition, he wants the players to have that must win mentality. And it might sound daft to a lot of people, but if you've watched some of the pressers over the last couple of years and some of the stuff said, again, maybe paying too much respect to the opposition. And I'm not want to sit here and say this team's guff or anything like that, but you know what I mean? When we've got the resources that we've got available, we need to be going into every game with kill mode, the Tigers, staring at the opposition, licking our lips, saying, this is going to be another absolute scudding. And for me, we finally have a manager that is drilling that in to the players to get them playing at that edge. So I just wanted to mention it because there's a lot being made about Hearts and Naismith desperate for this, and then on the other side, it's a semi-final, we need to win it to get to the final. No, we need to win every single game, and when we finally have a man that's demanding those standards for the players, and that for me is the biggest thing this laddie will bring to this football club, standards and structure, and we've already seen it in his short time. And getting to see it leads me to maybe my major talking point, or maybe my biggest talking point regarding the Rangers then, and it's going to be the name of Scott Wright. Yes, I know I bet you didn't expect to hear that this season. Now, I've seen a lot of people, especially over the last couple of videos, or maybe not a lot of people, a couple of people are saying, but you were slaughtering Beale for playing right, now you're praising Clement for playing right. No, it is drastically different, and again, I'll break down. I've already explained it a couple of times, but I'll do it again. Beale didn't want it right? Okay, you sent him away, blah, 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 twice. We all know the stories now. And then when he started to drown, started to just throw people that he didn't want. Because it was, to me, it showed he was losing grasp and he didn't know what he was doing. And his plan that he had in place wasn't working. He was abandoning it and all over the shop. That's why I had so much frustration. Because it told me this manager didn't know where he was going and he was taking our club that way. That's where I had a lot of frustration. When we talked about Clement coming in, especially in the 2 videos we done on Clement, we said everybody will get a fresh start. And we mentioned the likes of Scott Wright. And the reason I mention him especially for this video right here is not only not to say, oh, he's been playing amazing or anything. I'm not going to go down that route. But where his position and what type of player he is needs to be brought up. Because now what you're seeing is a manager that's playing 2 wingers in every game. Crazy concept, people, but every Rangers fan knows Beale had some weird agenda versus wingers. Not only did he clear a lot of the wingers out of this football club, but he also tried to play without them and tried to play with 2 wide nines, cutting in and just allowing the fullbacks to have to do the wingers' job, but also the defending job. It was a complete mess, and I think when you're seeing the likes of Scott Wright and Sima on each side, whether you like each player or not, what it shows you is this manager's playstyle is actually one that's built to succeed, and that is having wingers playing on the wing. And I think Scotty's been alright so far. Again, is he the answer and is he going to take us forward and is he going to be a guy we can rely on 38 games a season to win us league titles? Probably no, but again, the structure is now there and I'm sure going into January we will be looking at wingers because that is a position we badly need to improve and inject some X factor and a bit more quality, because again, we've got Scott Wright on one side and Sima on the other. Arguably, it's either going to be here next season. Probably no if we didn't get to keep Seaman. I'm not sure if that will actually happen. So, the winger's position is one to look at over the next couple weeks, couple games, because it's something that Clement clearly believes in. And I'm sure it's a position in January. The first one on the list will be a winger. That's truthfully all I've really got to say regarding the game of football, especially from the Rangers end. We just need to pick up where we left off versus Dundee. The feel-good factor, the players, some players like Lammers and Dessers got to go. That might be a release for them, but the wee mass warrior needs to start the game of football. I'm fine with Dessers playing just behind him as long as we have that width on the either side, because what frustrated us all was Lammers getting played as a right winger and he wasn't a right winger, and it was just void and nothing was really working. But him centrally, maybe on a bounce after his goal, we'll take it from there. But again, all I want to see is Danilo starting this game of football with the likes of Todd Cantwell and seeing what this team could possibly be with the Belgian cooking. Unfortunately for us all, there is some that's missing from the big potty soup, and that is the likes of Raskin, John Suter, Kemar Roof, the usual guy, unfortunately. And I think with all the talk that Clement's made about injuries and fitness, and he's been puzzled with this, I think what you'll see in January, whether you agree with this or not, you'll see the likes of the Roofs moved on, because what Clement wants, or his best ability on the park, is availability. You know what I mean? That's what he's looking for. He's looking at the team, he's seen an injury list right here, and he's not caring that for 5 games this guy will be unbelievable. And I think players need to get back fit very, very soon, because I told you, once you lose the trust Clement, he will not care what you've done in the past or who you are. And maybe that's what we need at the football club, a wee bit of a clear out of the boys that can contribute on the park. And it's never nice to say, you never want to hear it, but if you've been paying attention to Clement's pressers, that's the vibe that I'm getting, that he's already willing to move on because he wants players that's available. That's your team news. That is your update, ladies and gentlemen. What about you? How are you feeling about the game tomorrow? Again, I do feel like we will see a better performance. I don't know, 2-0 has been in my head all day, but would Hearts be able to get a goal? They've got a natural goal scorer on Shanklin, probably. It could go either way. Cup games are always like that, but I just feel like we'll have too much, and I feel like we'll have a point to prove, because Clement's been pressing and challenging and mentally challenging these players that the game at Ibrox versus Hearts wasn't good enough, and he wants better for this game. So here's hoping we get to see it. What about you? Let me know your thoughts and opinions down there in the comment section below, and I'm expecting to see another goal for Dan Nee. low. But until then, till tomorrow after the game, hopefully it's a successful semi-final. I've been Sage92. Thank you so much for watching. All the best and bye-bye.